Hello and welcome to our new series of Learning Rust from Basic to Advanced. I am PRK Jr., and I will take you the exciting journey of Rust programming language. There are many programming languages out there, each with its own strengths and weaknesses. But what makes the Rust programming language so special? Rust is a systems programming language that focuses on safety, security, and concurrency. It is sponsored by the Mozilla Foundation and is developed by a team of open-source contributors. Rust is designed to be a safe and concurrent language that is easy to learn and use. Rust achieves these goals by using a combination of static and dynamic typing, ownership, and borrowing. Static typing helps to prevent errors at compile time, while dynamic typing allows for more flexibility and easier refactoring. For the 7th year in a row, Rust is the most loved language, with 87% of developers saying they want to continue using it. Rust ties with Python as the most wanted technology, meaning developers who are not currently developing with the language but would like to, with 17.6% of respondents expressing interest in developing with it. However, TypeScript comes in a very close second place with 17% of respondents expressing interest. Let's create a new project using Cargo. Write Cargo new basics. Hence our project will be called Basics. Let us cd into Basics and open it into VS Code. We now have the most basic files. No dependencies in Cargo file. And our main file is in simplest form, containing just hello world. For any Rust application, generally, main function is the enter point. We can build and run our project using the command cargo run. As expected, we have hello world on the terminal. This is because of the Rust macro, print line. Let us hack around with our print line macro a little bit. And we have the desired result. We can build and compile our application using cargo build. This creates and debug an unoptimized executable. If we wish for optimized and release build, we need to run or build our application with release flag. Let's get started with variables in Rust. You can create a variable using the keyword let, followed by the name we find suitable for our variable. Let's start by creating a variable of data type Boolean. Bool is a type that can only have one of two values between true or false. We can see that Rust compiler has automatically detected that our variable is of type bool. But we can also explicitly mark the data type of our variable by writing :datatype next to variable name. We can also assign a variable while declaring it. Our Rust statement should terminate using semicolon, unless we are returning from that scope. If we assign this variable with a new value, our compiler will call this an error. It is because a Rust variable is by default immutable, meaning it cannot be changed unless marked mutable. You can make a variable mutable by adding mute in front of the variable name. Adding mute also conveys intent to future readers of the code by indicating that other parts of the code will be changing this variable's value. Now our code compiles and we are free all the errors. But our compiler gives us few warnings. Let us dive into number system in Rust. We will start by creating an integer. If you don't assign an data type to the integer variable, it assumes that you meant an 32-bit integer. You can always mention the data type of a variable. For integer data type, we have few options of different bits. Similar is the case with an floating point number. If we assign this variable with a new value, our compiler will call this an error. It is because a Rust variable is by default immutable, meaning it cannot be changed unless marked mutable. You need to think that Rust compiler is your friend in this journey. A good friend helps catch your mistakes and also sometimes gives you suggestion on how to fix your mistake. Rust compiler has got you covered. As a friend, Rust compiler gives you information on how to fix your error using Rust C explain. In our case shows us to look into Rust C explain E0384. Although, our code runs without any error, but it doesn't print anything on the terminal. Let's change this. We will use println macro for this. Curly brackets acts as a placeholder. The more you pass curly brackets, the more you need to provide data objects. Let's make our variable mutable and then update its value in the next line. We can see that our println macro will show the updated value. Let's create an 8-bit small integer variable. Our Rust compiler will check if the variable is overflowing its size or not when we are declaring it. Since our i8 variable can only have 2 to the power 8 values, and the range between -128 to 127. Any variable outside this range can cause either runtime or compile time error. Rust takes safety very seriously, so it terminates the program if it gets an runtime error. We can see that our print line macro printing our small integer value does not appear on the terminal. This proves that our application terminates immediately after it encounters an error which is not handled properly. If we are not interested in the negative values, we can always use unsigned integers. I wouldn't recommend, but if you are uncomfortable with warnings, you can always ask your compiler to stop showing them. You can do this by allowing whatever warnings you are having. Please note that it is wise to always deal with warnings before going into production. So how do you know which type of integer to use? If you're unsure, Rust's defaults are generally good places to start. Integer types default to i32. The primary situation in which you'd use isize or usize is when indexing some sort of collection. Additionally, the isize and usize types depend on the architecture of the computer your program is running on, which is denoted in the table as arch. 64 bits if you're on a 64-bit architecture and 32 bits if you're on a 32-bit architecture. In the next video, we will learn how to create and use compound types, such as arrays, tuples, etc. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you and visit again. Happy coding!